Thank you, everyone, so much for joining us. I see so many friends and friendly faces of mine and the panelists in the audience, and we are honored for you to be here with us today. My name is Shakira Monet Johnson. I'm the founder and chief impact officer of Maple and Monroe, a global social impact think and do tank, formerly known as Johnson PR and Events. Today, I am thrilled to be here today with you to discuss finding your bliss with these amazing panelists. Our first is entrepreneur Lauren Borawski, owner and founder of Child's Play Challenge Course, a mobile industry leader, and the 2023 Small Business Person of the Year. Thank you, Lauren. Next, we have Dr. DePonte Sernak, the statewide Multicultural Diversity Leadership Officer for the Center for Family Services, a nonprofit social services provider. Thank you, June. Next, we have Krishna Powell, fondly referred to as your multi-gen leader, and she is the founder and CEO of HR for Your Small Biz. Thank you, Krishna. And finally, we have Queen Stewart, reformed attorney whose cancer journey inspired the documentary Create Urgency about her mission to find joy and pursue her earlier life passions such as singing and comedy after her cancer diagnoses. Thank you, Queen. Big thanks to Kate, Danielle, Vinny, Bob, Betty, Cassie, Michelle, and the entire NJBIA team and family for this invitation and your warm hospitality leading up to today. This conversation is close to my heart, as my purpose is to raise the frequency of the planet, and I do that via my consulting work in social impact and ESG, in addition to helping individuals over the veil. We, as you all know, are living in both the best of times and the worst of times, a time when the planet and people are at a crossroads, resulting in a collective crisis/liberation where people are searching for meaning and purpose in their lives. Lauren, June, Krishna, and Queen were so generous to create something special for you today, a deconstructed roundtable, you could say. We invite you to share reflections and ask questions at the end of this discussion. We've also curated a series of questions that have been handed out for you that you are free to complete as we are talking or after when the time is right, and for you to also share reflections at the end. The idea is for our time together to be transformative, and in order to do that, we need to create a safe space. So remember, what happens in this room stays in this room. So without further ado, to our panelists, please answer the question and introduce yourselves, but tell us, how did you get here? That's the question. Who here has ever asked themselves that question? How did I get here? So please, introduce yourself and answer the question. Thank you.
Okay, I will start by saying an icebreaker. I am really nervous right now because I've never done this before, but I will do my best to impart my wisdom on all of you. All right, so there's my icebreaker. Okay, so how did I get here? Well, I'm going to say I never thought I was going to own my own business, right? I spent the majority of my life working for other people because I thought that was the only way I was going to have security and a steady paycheck. And I loved my career. I was passionate about it. I worked in television and the performing arts for 30 years as a production manager, a stage manager, an operations manager, an event planner. And I was very content, right? So my husband and I decided to start our own business, and that's why I clung to my former career while also supporting our business and working 100 hours a week, every week for years. And I was content until I wasn't, until I was just completely burned out from being pulled in two different directions. So then COVID came along, right, and it changed everything. So I was furloughed from my job, but our business flourished despite the pandemic. And for the first time, I could donate or dedicate 100% of my time to our own business. And I felt so free. It was exhilarating. I was outside every day working in our business, which I mentioned it's a mobile obstacle course business, but that's another conversation. And I felt free. I was outside instead of being in a conference room, running meetings. And I realized then I was living life on my own terms. And for the first time, I was realizing we didn't need anybody else. We could provide all the security that we needed. And we had everything, all the tools we needed to do that. So when furlough ended, I was called back to my job and I was offered a major promotion. And okay, well, I took it. Okay, so I went back to my job because they made an offer that I didn't think I could refuse. And I went right back, 1 foot here, 1 foot there, pulled in two different directions. And it lasted about a year. Like I knew in my heart, I said, all right, this is not right for me. And so the universe kind of hit me over the head a number of times with a bunch of consequences. And I said, okay. So I left my former career behind to pursue our business. We franchised it in that year. And in the next year and a half, I found myself being named the Small Business Person of the Year for the state of New Jersey. I was in the White House for Small Business Week as a guest of President Biden. So I knew that I made the right path. Thank you. And I guess that's what we're here to talk about today, is finding the right path. So that is how I ended up here.
I'm Native American on my dad's side. I'm African American and Italian on my mom's side. And so I am very diverse. My high school guidance counselor told me that I was not college material, that I should learn to type and go on a minority program, but I qualify for government cheese. So at that point, I thought that I was poor and unworthy of education. So I like to call this my 3Ds, right? So the diversity of that kicked me in the teeth. Years later, I got married, and then I got divorced 5 seconds later because evidently my ex-husband could find his way home, just not to our home. So we had to say goodbye. So I went into work one day and a colleague said, "You look like hell. I need you to pull yourself back up. I need you to learn how to volunteer. I need you to give back to the community because you're really blessed and you need to own that." So that was my second D. That was diversity and divorce. And my third D, I worked in telecom for 25 years. I worked in Manhattan. I traveled all over the country. I did an executive briefing in Manhattan for a large Fortune 500 company, and the next day I was downsized. Sprint merged with SoftBank. I was the oldest and the only woman on my team, and that next day I was told that my position was no longer warranted. So after being downsized, I thought, I don't know what I'm supposed to do with myself. And a friend of mine who was an engineer said, "I've got a great job for you. You'll be wildly happy and you'll make no money, but I want you to work for the Red Cross." And I made no money. I was wildly happy. And then I realized that I needed to make a little bit more money. I'm extra, as a matter of fact. I have turquoise nails. But I ended up starting to teach part-time, which led me to a career in education and getting my doctorate. All those things, I kind of merged all my lives together and all the things I really loved, and it brought me to the Center for Family Services. And now I get to talk about diversity all the time. I met my people. My first meeting that I had when I worked for them 2 years ago, I started to cry and I was like, "I love you all." And they looked at me like I was out of my mind, but it really was how I got here. And it sounds like a crazy journey, but all those things that kicked me in the teeth, I was able to survive them, and I know they survived them, and I get to look back now and just keep it moving. So that's how I'm here.
Hi, everyone. My name is Krishna Powell. I got here from 30 years in corporate America doing human resources. And I grew tired of seeing good employees, good leaders be sucked dry, giving your very last and then some. And I was tired of seeing and hearing and having to help employees through, because I had employees that bust their behind, not 9 to 5, 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and then over the weekend pass away. And that's when it became my mission to help everyone. It didn't matter if you were a leader or an employee or the janitor, to have a place of not just peace, but happiness. Because entrepreneurship is not meant for everyone. And, a lot of times we think, oh, well, if I'm not out here owning my own business, then I'm not going to be happy. No, you can find peace, happiness, joy right where you are. In the midst of the storm, in the eye of the storm, there is bliss. And so there's a way to find it in the midst of what's going on at home. All hell may be breaking loose. But if you're grounded and centered, you can navigate and work your way through the worst crisis. And so it has become my mission to help everyone I meet in organizations to figure out, what does bliss look like to each one of you? Because it's different. There is no right. There is no wrong. And sometimes we get confused by that. We get confused by the gram, the internet. It's supposed to look like this, and it doesn't. It looks like that thing that gives you where you go. And so that's what I like to do. That's what brought me to this place to you today. So thank you.
Thank you. So much of what Krishna just said is what brought me here today. My message through my stage 3 breast cancer diagnosis has been, for the past 2 years, don't wait for tragedy to strike, find joy now. So only 1 month into opening my office in Cherry Hill, New Jersey, October of 2021, which is also my birth month, I found my lump. And prior to that, I was doing the boss lady lawyer thing, trying to build my practice as much as I could, getting as many clients as I could, networking everywhere I could, only to become a patient. And then it was a moment of reflection where, quite frankly, I had an epiphany. Are you happy? Were the things you were doing and growing for you, or for appearances, or for your family? And excuse me if I get emotional, because I just always get emotional. And what can you be doing right now during your treatment to bring yourself joy and happiness? Just me. Yes, I have a family, I have a house, I have a husband, I have kids, I have all of that, but you're the one going through this. So I started create a sense of urgency. I started to document my whole cancer journey on social media. Createurgency.net is where you can find a lot of information. And as the bio says, I started to sing, something I always loved to do as a child, and I do it pretty well. I tried comedy, and unbeknownst to many people, I'm funny. I have put on shows. I've collaborated with the American Cancer Society. I found bliss and joy in the darkest of hours, and that's what brought me here.
Dr. David R. Hawkins, MD and PhD, has identified the emotion bliss as the process of illumination with a frequency of 600. In contrast, anxiety is a frequency of 100 and blame is a frequency of 30. What specific activities or rituals do you do to raise your frequency to experience bliss? And we'll start with you, Krishna.
Music is one of the fastest ways to raise your frequency, to raise your energy. Music does it for me every time. And also my grandchildren. I have 4 grandchildren. And so they raise my frequency. So I'll tell my kids, I'm not calling to talk to you. I just want to talk to my grands. I just want to see their face. You can exactly move out of the way. So that's how I raise my frequency.
Ladies, is there anyone who else wants to answer that? I know for me, gardening is huge. Is there any other gardeners here? Nothing like gardening, being outside, walking, sitting in the silence. Oh, that's my new favorite. And if it's dark, too. Darkness is a portal. But any other ladies?
I like to write. I realized that, especially after I did my doctoral dissertation and I interviewed chief diversity officers from all over, that research was really therapeutic. My dissertation chair told me that I could not teach cultural competency until I got right with my own cultural competency. And so I've really dedicated a lot of my time to do that. And now I also write for a magazine. I'm able just to use that. I have a book on Amazon now. It's a kid's coloring book. That's a cookbook. So I'm able to write a lot of different things. And I think that was my therapeutic outlook for how I'm able to create my own bliss through that.
I dance. I take dance classes, but choreographed dance classes, because I guess maybe we all have this, but I can't turn my brain off sometimes. I cannot, and it just goes and goes and goes. But if I'm in a class where I have to focus on choreography, it's like meditation to me, because it really, like, my brain goes in one place for that hour, and if I go and switch gears the least bit, I'm just lost in that class. So that's what I do, and it's a way to escape. Sometimes you just need to do that.
How did you find time for your class? Was the class something you were always doing?
I was always doing them, but I was able to do more of them owning your own business, because I can kind of, go around my schedule a little better. I make time. I make time.
How did you make time?
You make it a priority. I mean, look, in our peak season, I have to, it's my business has to, take priority sometimes. So I have a peak season, we have an off-peak season, and it's nice when you kind of get into that rhythm where you can take your dance classes, and I don't know, I'll work gigs around it, I'll work schedules around it, and, you do your best to do it. I can't always do it, but when I can.
Is it on your calendar?
Is it on my, there's a schedule. So.
It's on your schedule.
it's
on
schedule.
Your schedule.
It's
Anybody else, how you added, how you found that time, how you made that time?
I do a lot of things. Sharing. For some reason, sharing really brings me bliss, especially sharing everything that I've gone through, because what happens with sharing and being transparent is people start to respond and interact with you. And there's nothing greater, in my opinion, than that connection with people and having a community and just talking. So when I share and then I get questions back, and then there's just this fluidity that happens that brings just a really positive feeling inside. And then I walk most mornings 5 miles, and that's meditative.
Absolutely. And we're definitely entering an era of more transparency, more hard work, more being honest, more talking with one another and sharing. I actually remember a panel I did with the Sally Glick honoree many years ago, and on that panel we said, is it okay to cry? Right? And is there crying in the office? And there was like, but it's like now I feel like we're in a space where it's okay for people to know I cried, or that I felt a way about that, or just to have those sharing authentic experiences. Krishna, did you want to add?
Yeah, I just wanted to add for myself, and what I remind others is that I had to say to myself, I'm worth it.
Yeah.
I'm worth it. We give as women, we pour into everybody. And then we wonder why we're exhausted, why we're stressed, why our hair is falling out, why we're gaining weight, why we're losing weight. Because we forgot to make ourselves a priority. And you have to schedule the time and do so unapologetically. I'm not sorry I'm taking my lunch break and actually using my lunch break to center myself. This whole working on your lunch break, that's for the birds. You need to give that up. Enjoy your lunch. Go outside, do yoga. I specialize in managing a multicultural, multi-generational workforce. And a lot of times we Gen Xers and baby boomers, we're mad at the millennials because they're going to yoga on their lunch break. We need to take notes and go to yoga too. We need to take notes and go on lunch break and go,
Yeah.
we're going until our body quits on us. It shouldn't take that. Schedule the time. You're worth it. Remind yourself you love you, so show you the love. Don't just say it. We tell our husbands, we tell our significant others, show me you love me. But when was the last time you showed yourself? That's what you have to do. That's how you create your bliss. Show yourself. You are valuable. You are worth it. I got to get up 4 o'clock in the morning to find my peace, and that's what I do. Because I love me that much. That's what you have to do for yourself. But it comes at a cost. Sometimes people are in their feelings about it. It's okay, they'll get over it. But for you to have the energy to pour into them, you have to pause and do what you need to do for you.
You know, sometimes they'll get over it and sometimes they won't,
That's true.
which is another gem and another thing to take note of, which leads us to our next question. Is there a person or group that takes you out of your bliss in your personal or professional life? That's the panel. We're done here. Panelists and ladies in the audience and gentlemen, that's a question you should be thinking of. Anybody who'd like to share that at the end, they can. But for those on the panel, how did you change that? In June, I'm going to ask that you go, because I know when we did our pre-call, you shared here a divorce. So if you just want to share anything around persons or groups that you identify were taking you out of your bliss personally or professionally, and how did you change that and the impact it had on your life?
So it's interesting because sometimes when you're not healthy, people can creep into your life and they can sneak in and you miss it. My father had passed away after having 7 heart attacks. He died at 60 years old. He had his first one at 35. The next weekend, my ex-husband proposed and everybody said, just say yes, it'll make your life so much easier. And I'm like, okay. And then I wasn't even thinking that I didn't really like him, but I shouldn't have bought a pair of shoes that week because I was in mourning. I was in grief, and I said yes to something that turned out to be just a waste of time. I like to spend money, but not on dumb things. And the fact that I had to spend money to get rid of him pisses me off to this day because I didn't know lawyers like that I know now that would have taken him down the ringer. But what I also realized was that there are other people that are in your life, and I went to therapy 3 times for this, so I can say out loud that my mother is not my favorite person. And I've lived with a lot of criticism. I've lived with the guilt of being able to say that out loud. This is a person that, and she's 88 years old, because she'll be here forever. Who the first time she learned how to use email ever in her life at her job as a secretary, I got an email that said, "Don't wear the pink lipstick, it makes you look like death." So support has been not her strong suit with me. So I think that when I realized that there are certain people in my life that I was stuck with and certain people in my life that I could really just say goodbye to, I created a system for myself, which was self-healing. And again, I went to therapy 3 times to be able to do this. But you set boundaries. Just like you can block and unfollow people on social media, I do that in real life. I mentioned that I published a book and I had a couple of family members who were in the Juniverse fan club. And so I had to say, thank you, but no thank you. I am too old for this. B, I got other things to do and I'm being called. So I like to tell people that in the elevator of life, some people have got to get off on the next floor. You're not going where I'm going, and so you're excused. So I have to open that door and let people out the elevator. What they do once they get out is up to them, but they're not coming with me. So I think that those things are the things that I've learned, and there have been a few people along the way that showed me true colors. And I do, I'm very spiritual, and I had to pray to show people, to have people show me their true colors first. So I can't change other people, but I can pray that I can see them for who they are, and I can know where I'm going to let them off at the next stop.
I love that. Thank you for sharing that. And the thing is that I found that the clearer that my energy has gotten and the higher my frequency has gotten, the clearer I can see others. When you're a mess and muddled and all over the place and confused, it can blur your perception and your senses. And I am actually at this state where if I get around people who have bad intentions, my body goes into this actual feeling. And it's upsetting because some of the people you're like, I like them. And your body's like, just trust me on this one. Just trust me. And there have even been ones that I'm like, no, it can't be. You don't want it to be. For whatever the reason is, you like them, they're awesome, they're charismatic, whatever those things are. And then you go past your sensor, and then they do things, and then you're like, but you knew that already. You know, when people cross you, a lot of times you're not really surprised. You're more disappointed that you didn't trust yourself in the first place, which leads to the next question around boundaries. Bliss requires boundaries. Bliss is a form of knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and power. And so with that, we have to operate in integrity and courage, and that requires boundaries. What boundaries did you need to create and or maintain in your life to attract more bliss? And Queen will have you to start there.
Well, and I think June kind of said some of this. You have to cut people off. Or even if you don't cut them off, because that is very, especially family. I mean, I deal with mommy issues myself. I can't cut my mom off. I love her more than anybody in the world. However, she has to be pushed to the side sometimes. And same thing with husband. On my journey in particular, not everyone was excited to see that I was becoming this very different person. But I knew for me, it was the best thing that I could do. And so no one could stop me because I come first and foremost before you come first. If you don't come first, then how can you be the best for other people? You have to come first. And not everyone will understand that. So, I mean, you have very candid conversations. You let them know this is what I am doing. I've made my decision for me, and either they come or they don't. And if people love you and they support you, they're going to come. If they don't get it, they'll sit down and they'll watch you be amazing. There's nothing else that they can do. There's really, there's not much that affects me anymore. It's kind of crazy. I started to refer to it as speaking to people from the other side, and my other side is post-cancer. There's not much anyone can say or do that will rattle me. It just is just like you can't. When you're facing your mortality, what can a person do to me or say to me? So you just create that boundary and you stand on it. Like, you don't compromise.
Yes, that's important, because when we compromise our boundaries, we really tell ourselves, to Krishna's point, we don't love ourselves. We don't value ourselves. We're willing to put others ahead of ourselves, and that is definitely not love. That's actually an act of violence against ourselves. So in my book, Over the Veil, 21 Keys to Raise Your Frequency and Live an Extraordinary Life, I detailed 21 practical activities that anyone can do to reimagine their life for the better, but emphasize the idea that the journey to knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and power is not about the destination, but the journey. Tell us something you have learned from the highs and the lows of your journey, and how you learn to simply enjoy the ride. And we'll start with you, Krishna.
Well, the journey has been interesting. I've learned to take it similar to people when you go through a rehabilitation program. You take it one moment at a time. This isn't a quick fix. I wish I could say after we get done with this panel, boom, you'll be living and you'll find your bliss. It's a journey to get there, and it's a process to stay there, because there will always be someone or something trying to pull you out of it. And so for me, I had to learn to create what I like to call Team Krishna, which is people who supported me, who believed in me, who, even if I hired them, were a part of my team, be it a mental wellness coach, be it a health wellness coach. I created this team to help me stay in this place of bliss so I could be my healthiest, happiest, authentic, genuine self, and then go be of service to others. And so that has been my journey, is finding Team Krishna. And sometimes Team Krishna changes, and it's okay, because people have different things going on with their life, or things grow and change with me, and I need someone who can take me to the next level. And so I would encourage each of you to create your own team, not just your cheerleading team, but someone who you can sit down and exhale with when you are in the middle of the storm, who can remind you of the work that you're doing and to continue to do it. A lot of people still find therapy is taboo. It is not taboo. It is a place of wellness. Do not wait for the crisis to come to seek the help. Get the health and the steps that you need now, so when the crisis comes, you have the equipment and the tools that you need to succeed. So that has been a part of my journey, to create that and leave that legacy and show that to my children and grandchildren. This is what it looks like, so you can be healthy and whole, mentally, spiritually, physically, not just in one aspect and not the other.
Absolutely. And then our closing question, as this is the 2023 New Jersey Women's Business Leaders Forum, we know that the attendees here have experienced a certain level of success in their careers and business. While success in business is amazing, we know that it is not enough for sustained peace of mind. How did you merge purpose and profits to create bliss in your life? Who would like to start?
I found an organization where I can work on my terms. It was a comfortable environment for me to work in. I felt respected, heard, and a sense of belonging, and that was really important. But I needed to balance the other things. I needed to find my other things that I enjoy. So I'm also the board chair of the Alice Paul Institute. So I do a lot of evangelizing for the Equal Rights Amendment and gender equality. And so I needed to have an organization that would allow me to have a voice for all the things that I love. I do a lot with the military. I do a lot with Native American affairs for the New Jersey Commission. If I didn't have a job that let me do those things and the things I love on the outside, I couldn't have merged all those things to be really complete. And then I also get to include my family in this. My husband comes with me in a lot of these things. I like this husband, so if you see him, never you go.
Not the other husband. It's not him. Okay, ladies, stand down.
Yes, super cute. And I have a 24-year-old who is going on her own journey. So I think one of the things we talked about was that bliss it can be found in a lot of different places, but we don't have it all the time. So don't think we have it all figured out. There's no like magic wand to this as much as I would like. This is it's a hard time for me. I had one of the worst weeks ever and one of the happiest weeks ever. My daughter's moving in a couple of weeks to Florida to start her next journey. I'm wildly happy that I have raised a daughter with the confidence and the wherewithal to do all the great things she's doing, but she's still moving. So I'm happy on one hand, sad on the other. We lost a family pet this week that is killing me, and I'll try not to cry, but it's been just a tough road. But in the same time, Saturday I was with Alyssa Milano in DC fighting for equal rights. So again, this is so many great things that you can find. And my daughter and I celebrated by taking a trip together to Alaska. And we zip-lined in icy glacier, taller than the Empire State Building at 1.5 miles down. And I'm afraid of heights. And you know what? That was the greatest thing to find bliss with my daughter, to have that experience, send her off to her next passion and her bliss. So we do it together. We win as one and we're all connected.
I mean, that's really it there, because it's like sports. The path to winning is paved with losing, right? And one day it was shown to me that frost and steam are the same thing. So it's just understanding that winning, losing, good and bad. Also, the higher that your frequency rises, the more you understand that duality is a perception. There really is non-duality. Even the people who come in your life and they give you a hard time, they help you. The people who come and they help you, they help you. So when you just see that it's all working out, I say all the time, I'm like, everything always works out for me. No matter what, it works out for me. And you can't cross me. It's not possible, because it always just works out. So in closing, what does bliss mean to you? Rapid fire. You.
Oh, bliss means, it means living my life on my own terms and making my own choices and living a life that's meaningful to me. And that's going to mean something different to everybody. But I know this is rapid, but I just want to say something. The worst place that all of you can be is stuck in indecision. You have to, at some point, move forward. And yes, I get it. Sometimes the best action is no action, but give yourselves a time frame. A day, a week, a month, 6 months, but don't find yourself a year from now being in the exact same place that you don't want to be. I'm telling you, because when you make a decision to move forward and you go with your gut, you're going to find synchronicities and coincidences and opportunities, and that's the universe telling you that you're on the right path. So you need to listen to that. But like I said, just make a choice and move forward, and you're going to find that it's going to work out for you.
Jill?
Being authentic. Living an authentic life has been the best thing and the most freeing thing. When you are who you are, you can stand in your truth every single day. Like you said, nothing can stop you.
Krishna?
Loving myself unapologetically.
Queen?
See it, I'm enough.
I was going to say self-love. I'm telling you, like, bliss is just knowing you and doing for you first.
So now we are going to open the floor for Q&A/reflections. Again, you have your handout. If there's anyone who has completed one of the prompts that they'd like to share, we would love for you to share that. If anyone has a question for one of the panelists or myself, now is the time. So any questions, reflections in the back here? Please introduce yourself. Thank you.
Good afternoon. Senator Alma Francis Heiliger. The one question that stuck out on this list for me, and I really need some help on, number 7, is there a person or group? And my answer to that was only God can help with this one, because I have tried everything. And because of that particular job, because I have several, but that particular job, having to work with colleagues in the legislature,
Hold
where
on.
I
Hold
can't
on.
avoid
Hold
that.
on. All you had to say was legislature. Senator, we are with you. Okay.
But the biggest problem I have is not even with the men; it's the women. And
We
I'm
have to
trying
do better.
figure that part out. I'm really, because when I have to focus so much time trying to deal with the ego and the personalities, when I'm trying to focus on the people, I feel like I'm being distracted. And when you're trying everything in your power to deal with that personality, to try to say, listen, can we focus on the people? But they're more concerned about the power. They're more concerned about the public perception. It's becoming draining, and it's frustrating. And when you think like it wouldn't be coming from a female, that's my biggest headache. And that's what I'm trying to get some. If anyone could help me with this, I
Queen?
would appreciate it.
Thank you, Senator.
Do you know the Serenity Prayer?
No.
Okay, God grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, the courage to change the things I can, and the wisdom to know the difference, right? And the Serenity Prayer, even though I'm not a religious person, I love it. And also, changing your mind will change your life. And that is so true. And I'm speaking to you from someone who was laying in the bed suffering with chemo, right? And I had to change my mind. It changed my life. You cannot, Senator, you can't change anyone, but you can change how you're affected by people. Please get to a place where you're not affected so much by people.
That I want you to remember, and this is my personal opinion on why you're seeing what you're seeing with women in the workplace, in politics. They're coming in with their pain, in their anger, in their frustration. I need to be heard. I need to be respected. I need to be seen. I have this power. You need to recognize me. And until you do that, and some people need you to do it on a constant basis because they're not getting it anywhere else. And they're going to fight you tooth and nail. They don't care about what you want until you see me. So every time you interact with them, acknowledge what you see first. Help them in regards to, I understand this is important to you. I hear you. I get it. How can I help you through this so we can accomplish this? Then they're like, okay, you feel my pain. Everybody, especially after surviving the pandemic, people have come in, we call it the age of incivility from an HR standpoint. They come in and there's this anger. But you can't, like she said, you can't change them unless you meet them right where they are and just say, I see you. What can I do to help you? What power do you need? And why does it matter so much to you? Because sometimes they don't even realize it. So that as a leader is what you sometimes may have to do on a consistent basis for people to feel safe and to understand that they don't always have to fight you, that you recognize them, and that they can just go ahead and get with your program or whatever you want them to do because they know that regardless, you see me.
And I could just add that I give and get grace. I realize that there are people in my life that I could have coffee with or go shopping with, but I would never tell them my deepest secrets. So I had to really find out, and this is a therapeutic exercise of drawing a picture with me in the center and the people around me and do a strong line when I have a strong relationship, a dotted line when it's no lines afterwards, and I knew who was on my team. So that was kind of how I was able to frame things. And over the years, I've been able to say, you know what, that person's still a nice person, but they're not necessarily on my team. So maybe they're on the bench. They're not out of the ballpark, but they're on the bench. So now I know who I can call for which thing. And then my expectations are met, because when I started to go to the people that I needed to share my innermost thoughts with, and they were not responding, I was like, oh, okay, well, they might be third string. And once I got to that space and could see how people were in my life and the role that they played, it was a lot easier for me to give and get grace. And then I think I found that all the volunteer work I do, that served another purpose for me. I met more people that were like-minded and going on that journey with me. And because of that, I've met all these additional people. Our paths would have had zero reason to cross. I'm an honorary commander for the Joint Base McGuire-Dix Lakehurst. I've been doing that for 10 years since my Red Cross days. The people that I'm closest to from that space, we would have never, ever, ever met each other. And they're some of my dearest friends, and we appreciate each other. But again, it's in different parts of my life. But that's where I started to find a better team for me, and that I started to get comfortable with it. I could use my quotes of, I don't want to not see you eat, but you can't eat at my table. So I know that might sound harsh, but
Not harsh. Sounds like a boundary. Yeah, and I've been practicing radical acceptance, just accepting people as they are, whatever that looks like. And then I also have you could call it a prayer, where I say, those people who are for me, let them draw to me, and those who are not, let them repel away. And then that creates again, that's where I start getting those feelings with certain people. That's disappointing, but it is what it is. But then you also find that people, Senator, will just start coming to you who want to help you, who are like-minded. So ask that the people who are for you come to you. All right. And do we have time for another question? Okay. Another question or reflection? Yes.
How did you find the Bliss? Sure.
Thank you for asking. So in February, this is a safe space, so I'm going to tell you this. In February, 20 years ago, I had a vision about COVID.
Amen.
February 2020, I was standing in my kitchen because I didn't fully understand the vision when I had it. I was standing in my kitchen and God said that vision that I showed you is now. So this was before there was a pandemic. This was in China. And I bawled because I had seen past, present, and future. And I was just like, paralyzed, bawled, crying. My husband's like, what is the matter with you? And I was like, it's now. And he's like, it's like, what are you? So a couple of weeks after that, I get COVID. This is February. By the first week of March, I'm in isolation. There's still not even like a lockdown. So I was in isolation for 3 weeks. While I was in isolation for 3 weeks, that's basically no phone, no laptop, no nothing. Past, present, future, everything was revealed to me. And that really just started the process. It had started when I was a child, but I kind of turned away from it because I didn't like being able to have visions and see things and do things. Like, I want to party and bullshit, not like seeing the future. What are we doing here? So in COVID, it kicked in again. And then I said, we've got to do it this time. And I knew what my role was, which was to take all of my PR, marketing, social impact, all of that experience. I worked with Google, Microsoft, Saks Fifth Avenue, the list goes on, and use it to develop programs for corporations to help millions of people. And it came to me, and I just started working on that. But it looked like a lot of isolation, a lot of downtime, a lot of coming to terms with myself. Those boundaries, and when we're looking at other people to say, oh, they're bad, they're doing this, they're doing that, they're mostly a reflection, especially if it's anybody in your circle, especially if it's a friend, especially if it's a spouse, especially anyone like that. They're really a reflection of you when you met them. So if now you're feeling like you're out of alignment with them, it's just because you're changing. It's not them, it's actually you. So I had to be honest about, why would I be friends with a person who treated me that way? Why would I work with clients who did these things? I just had to be honest with myself. It was not easy. It was very painful. My relationships with people are different. Some of those relationships are no longer, but I just feel lighter. I feel better. I feel more blissful, and now I'm in my power and I'm in my purpose. So that's what it looked like for me. And then at the beginning of the year, Spirit told me to write a list of everything that I did. I thought the list was so that I could share it with people that I work with, because I work with CEOs and presidents and I've worked with those people and we have these conversations. I thought the list was for me to share with them. And then a friend said, no, it's a book. And I was like, no, it's not a book. And they're like, yeah, it's a book. So that process that I went through, that spiritual journey, is now for people to understand what it looks like and to do those practical things. But that's how it really started as a child 20 years ago, COVID, a lot of heartache, pain, being in the darkness, all the things. And now here I am, illuminated. Thank you. Thank you for asking. Any other questions, feedback? Here, in the floral dress, please.
So hi, my name is Michelle Conway, and what helps me with setting boundaries is to kind of envision the 5-year-old version of myself. And when I come across people that I meet that just give me, just are not the people I want to have around me, they don't bring out my bliss, bring out my joy, I think, would I put that person in front of that 5-year-old version of myself? And by doing that, it kind of helps me protect my inner child, protect who I really am, the essence of who I am. So it's just like a tip that works for me and it might work for you too.
Thank you. I know that, were you trying to raise your hand? Yes, can we have the microphone here? Okay.
So I'm going to make a comment for what Queen said a while ago. I'm kind of in it right now, and I'm reading a book on narcissism, and I have a hard time putting myself first. And there's a phrase they were using that I thought would kind of help with that, because when I hear that, I'm told all the time I need to put myself first, but I'm constantly thinking, but that'll screw that person, so I'm not going to do that. There is something actually called healthy narcissism. I got to say, the microphone's kind of nice not to scream. And so it's actually called healthy narcissism. We all have a little bit of it in us. And it's when we do put ourselves first, but we're conscious of other people and we're conscious of what's happening around us. Whereas someone who's narcissistic isn't. They put themselves first because that's what works for them. And that's that. And so it's finding that line to take care of yourself. And I wrote down what I think you said, show your self-love. I don't know who said that. I'm looking at all of you. Because I don't do that. You know, I think about everybody else's needs, and it's time. And so I don't read self-help books very well, so I'm kind of excited I'm even on chapter 2. But I just thought when you said that was something that was interesting enough to share, that there is a healthy narcissism, and that's what we're talking about.
Thank you. Anyone else? Question or reflection they'd like to share in the back? Thank you.
Well, I was too. Jessica Hoffman. I work for the Girl Scouts of Northern New Jersey. I just wanted to share some great advice I got at some point, because I feel like I'm a master at putting myself first now. And someone told me once, like, if you just take 2 seconds, think about your life and the moments of your life that changed the trajectory of your life. And I stopped and I thought, and I answered him and I said, divorce, death of my father, my son had open heart surgery. He's like, now those are all horrible, traumatic things. He's like, moving forward, let the good change your life. And I just took that and ran with it. So let the good change your life.
Thank you. Any other questions or next to Mary, my business coach. Thanks for coming and supporting me, Mary. Okay.
Hello, everyone. I just want to say great job. I wanted to say life is going to keep happening. And when you think of life, think about those shoes that you go to the store and purchase, the shoes that you put on your feet, which we all do, and sometimes we know we can't fit them, okay? So a lot of times we put those shoes on and we know we can't fit them, so think about your relationships. Think about the jobs that you currently are in and you can't fit them, you know? So with shoes, they offer comfort and pain. Put the shoes on that fit your feet and not someone else's feet. You know, so sometimes, a lot of times people, you know, are trying to be where you are. They're trying to be in your shoes, but those shoes weren't made for them. They were made for you. So think about Dorothy in the Wizard of Oz. She felt that the shoes that the Wicked Witch had on had the power to get her home. Okay? She was on that yellow brick road trying to find her way home, find her way to Oz to get home. But she didn't realize that she had the strength all along on that yellow brick road to find her way home. The shoes did not have the power. She had the power. So I say to each of you, all the ladies here, we have the power, okay? Stop, you know, chasing someone else's dreams. Follow our own dreams. Don't stay in that job for 20, 30, 40 years if that job was not, you know, is not there for you and that's not your purpose. Find your purpose, because the shoes that we wear, they were made for comfort.
Thank you. Big round of applause for Queen, Krishna, June, and Lauren. Oh, what? Round of applause, standing ovation. Come on now. Thank you all so much. God bless y'all. See y'all out on the floor. Stop by the Maple and Monroe table. Thank you.